So I'm going to make myself some trays out of pallet wood. Well, reclaimed pallet wood. So, stick around. Originally the pallets were used for some raised garden beds, and they were in use for about 3 years, after which I took them down and they sat in the backyard for a few months before I brought them in the shop to dry out. And after quite a bit of work, I managed to get 2 decent trays out of it.
Now, as you can see here, there are quite a few nails that I had to remove, even though I did use these pallet boards before. Now I'm just making a few light passes over each board to flatten one side, because as you'll see in a minute, I am going to be reselling all of these boards. So I installed a old rip blade I had, and it's a tad bit wider than the normal blade I had, so it was catching on the zero clearance insert when I first turned it on, so it kind of freaked me out. I probably should have put in the plate I used for my finger joint set. Now these pieces I'm cutting here are actually going to be resawn, and they will be the bottom of the trays. So here I moved in the fence a little bit, and I'm cutting the ends of the trays, and these will be the ones with the handles. So now I'm going to be resawing all of the bottom boards. And this was supposed to be 1/4 inch, but again, because this blade is just a hair wider than my normal blade, the measurement on my fence was off, so these are all a tad under a 1/4 inch. So I went through all the trouble to make myself a 45-degree miter sled to cut all these joints. And when I went to use it the very first time, I realized that because my table saw is kind of messed up, I can't cut deep enough to cut the 45s on all these boards. So I ended up having to just use the miter gauge and put my table saw to 45 degrees. Now here I'm putting a 1/4 inch dado on the bottom of all the boards, and that'll just hold the bottom in place. So this handheld belt sander, it's worked fairly well for me, but I am actively searching Craigslist for a good old used 6x48 belt sander. So here I'm cutting the bottoms to their final dimensions, and each bottom is actually going to be a little different even though the outside dimensions are the same on the trays. Because this is pallet wood and I didn't use my planer to make sure everything was the same width, the inside dimension of the bottoms are actually different for each tray, because the oak has closer to 3/4 inch sides and the maple one has closer to 1/2 inch thick sides, so that messes with the inside dimensions.